You know, there's the central, almost exhausting struggle that so many people over 60 face, and it's this. Retirement doesn't always mean peace. A lot of the time it means everyone suddenly brings you their problems. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can do about it. We're going to talk about that paradox of finally having more time, but somehow feeling like you have less peace than ever.
Does this statement right here feel familiar? You've spent a lifetime gathering wisdom, experience, and just a solid perspective. You've earned this time for yourself, and yet so many days are filled not with your own plans, but with the emotional weight of everyone else's. Your phone buzzes with a new crisis, a friend unloads all their anxieties, a relative needs major life advice. You've kind of become the default problem solver, right? The calm in everybody else's storm. And look, while this role, it comes from a place of love and respect, let's be honest, it is utterly exhausting.
Well, there's actually a name for this experience. It's called the emotional bank. Think about it like this. You're the central bank, where everyone you know makes emotional withdrawals, but very few people are making deposits. You end up absorbing the stress, the worry, the problems of all the people you love. And this isn't just a feeling, It's a real psychological dynamic. Just giving it a name is the first step, because it validates that what you're feeling is real, it's common, and most importantly, it is manageable.
So how do we manage it? Well, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the hidden truth we just uncovered. Then we'll get into why this is happening in the first place. After that, we'll cover the most critical concept of all, your emotional capacity. Then we get practical. We'll talk about applying the boundary protocol. We'll get some perspective with wisdom for the long game, and we'll wrap it all up with your first gentle step. Sound good? Let's dive in.
So, let's start with the hidden truth. We've kind of touched on the core paradox already. The very wisdom and stability you've built up over a lifetime have, ironically, made you the main target for everyone else's instability. The hidden truth is that this role, which can feel like a real honor, comes at a huge personal cost to your own peace of mind and your energy levels.
Okay, so let's move on and explore why this is happening. Why you? And why now? I mean, it's not a coincidence that this whole dynamic seems to ramp up after 60. There's a really powerful internal drive at play, and it's colliding with a new external reality. Understanding this conflict is absolutely key. And this slide right here really gets to the heart of that conflict. On one side, you have generativity, and that is a beautiful, natural impulse to guide and support the next generation. It feels good to help, right? But on the other side, you've got chronic depletion. And that's the bone-deep exhaustion that comes from constant, one-way emotional labor, where support only ever flows out from you. It's the difference between being a stable lighthouse guiding ships from the shore and being the lifeboat that has to go out into every single storm, coming back a little more beat up each time.
And this dynamic, it has some serious consequences. All that one-way emotional labor, it consumes the very energy you need for your own life, for your focus, for your hobbies, for simple joy. It leads straight to fatigue and burnout. But you know what the sneakiest part is? It's the guilt. You feel guilty if you say no. You feel selfish for wanting time for yourself. And that guilt becomes the very glue that keeps this draining cycle going.
This brings us to what I think is the single most important lesson in this entire explainer. Really understanding this next concept, it's the key that unlocks everything else. It's the foundation for building a much more peaceful and sustainable life.
Okay, I want you to really let this sink in. Your emotional capacity is finite. It is not some infinite well that magically refills itself. It has a limit. Every single person on this planet has a finite amount of emotional energy to give each day, and acknowledging that isn't a weakness. It's just a fundamental law of personal well-being.
The crucial thing is to start treating it like a finite resource. I mean, you wouldn't let someone just endlessly withdraw money from your actual bank account, would you? Of course not. You need to start viewing your emotional energy with that same level of care. It's a precious resource you have to manage and protect. Once it's gone for the day, it's gone. And running a constant deficit leads straight to burnout.
So if the problem is a finite resource getting drained, then the solution has to be a system to protect it. And that solution is what we call the boundary of reciprocity. This is basically a framework for creating more balanced emotional exchanges. Now, reciprocity doesn't mean they have to solve one of your problems in return. It just means they have to respect the boundaries you set around your time and energy. It means they have to understand that your capacity is not theirs to command whenever they want.
A huge part of this is shifting your role from being the fixer to being the validator. For years, you've probably felt this responsibility to jump in and solve people's problems. Your new role is to be an active listener,
Your job isn't to fix it for them. It's to listen with empathy, to validate their feelings with phrases like, "Wow, that sounds so difficult." And then, and this is the key part, to trust them to find their own solution. This actually empowers them, and it keeps their problem from becoming your burden.
All right, so we understand the why and the what. Now let's get into the practical how. This next section, the boundary protocol, is your toolkit. These are real actionable steps you can start using today to build that boundary of reciprocity and really protect your peace. So here it is, the 4-step protocol. It's simple. We're going to set a time limit, use a simple script, learn how to redirect the conversation, and to find some protected time for yourself. This is your toolkit for emotional self-preservation. Let's break each one down.
Let's start with step 1, the 15-minute timer. The very next time someone calls you to unload their problems, I want you to just mentally set a 15-minute timer. Now, why 15 minutes? Well, it's long enough for them to feel truly heard, but it's short enough to keep the conversation from spiraling out of control. It creates a container, and it says, I am fully here for you for this period of time. This simple limit is your first and best line of defense.
Now, during those 15 minutes, you use step 2, the listener script. Take a look at this example. I want you to notice what it does, and just as importantly, what it doesn't do. It validates their emotion. That sounds so challenging. It acknowledges their effort. I can hear how much thought you've put into this. But what does it not do? It doesn't say, well, here's what you should do. It keeps the ownership of the problem with them where it belongs, while still offering genuine, profound empathy.
Okay, once your 15 minutes are up, it's time for step 3, the positive redirect. This is how you gently close that container we talked about. You can say something like, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I trust you'll find the right path forward. Now, on a totally different note, tell me about that book you were reading. See? It's a kind but firm signal that the problem-solving part of the conversation is over.
And finally, step 4 is all about being proactive. You need to define your emotional autonomy zones. These are just scheduled appointments with yourself. Maybe it's from 9 to 11 every morning for reading or gardening. You communicate this boundary ahead of time. Hey, just so you know, I usually turn my phone off during this time to recharge. This is not selfish, it is essential maintenance. This is your non-negotiable time to make some deposits back into your own emotional bank.
Now that we have the practical tools, let's kind of zoom out for some wisdom for the long game, because this is about more than just getting through difficult conversations. It's about shifting your entire perspective on your role, in your family, and in your own life for all the years to come.
I really need you to hear this, especially if you struggle with that guilt we talked about. Setting these boundaries is not selfish. It is the most responsible, loving thing you can possibly do. Think about it. A car running on empty is eventually going to break down, and then it's no use to anyone. By protecting your own well-being, you ensure you can be a stable, positive presence for the long haul. It's an act of responsible stewardship.
And this leads us to the ultimate goal, which is something called sustainable generativity. This is what you're really aiming for. The goal isn't to cut people off, it's to help in a way that's actually sustainable for you. It's the ability to remain that wonderful source of wisdom and joy, but without becoming resentful or totally exhausted. It makes sure your relationships are fueled by a genuine connection, not just a sense of obligation. We have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From understanding the problem to building a whole toolkit to solve it. So now, for our final section, let's take your first gentle step and bring this all together into one clear, powerful action you can take.
If you remember only one thing from our time together, let it be this simple formula. Your emotional energy is finite. The way you protect it is by creating balanced exchanges through a boundary of reciprocity. That's it. That is the core principle for protected, peaceful well-being.
You know, knowledge is only powerful when you actually put it into practice. So here is your gentle challenge. Who is the one person in your life who most frequently makes those large withdrawals from your emotional bank? Just think of one person and commit to yourself right now that the very next time they come to you with a problem, you will use that 15-minute timer. That's all. It's just one small but incredibly powerful act of self-advocacy.
As we close, remember this. That anxiety that can sometimes creep in at this stage of life, it's often solved by replacing the lost structure of work with intentional purpose. And the most helpful insight we've talked about is the need for a daily, non-negotiable habit, whether that's your emotional autonomy zone or simply shifting your role from fixer to validator. By defining your new mission, and that mission includes the responsible stewardship of your own well-being, you are actively choosing years of engagement, of mental sharpness, and of true fulfillment. You are choosing to be the lighthouse, not the lifeboat.
Thank you so much for joining us.